I make over six figures and still do DoorDash. This is probably a common headline we've all been seeing like, oh, hey, folks are working their big corporate jobs and they're still doing these side hustles. And in this video, I'll go over kind of the progression of how I came to this point and why I continue to still do DoorDash slash Uber Eats slash food delivery, if you want to call it as a whole. So in the beginning, my first job, I was earning minimum wage. It was 7.25 was the minimum wage at the time, but I was earning $8 an hour, which to me, I was already like, oh, I'm above minimum wage. I was 18 years old and I was working at a bowling alley slash billiards kind of pool, kind of club area. And it was a great gig. And at the time, $8 when everything was quote unquote taken care of, let's say, bills wise in the real picture, not knowing, what goes into the bigger equation, I was like, dude, I'm rich. Like for me at the time, I loved, McDonald's, fast food, all the garbage, kind of that kind of stuff. And so as a kid, if you're not like drinking and doing all these things, $8, back then the dollar menu or like two things for a dollar, like two McChickens for a dollar, man, it's crazy. And so from like that time, I already felt like, wow, I have more than enough. So I thought. So fast forward, I basically was working this job, then I wasn't working it, but that money that I already had, I was like, well, this was, great. And I was saving on top of this, believe it or not. And it was just, due to habits that I always had and just what I identified with, which was just being kind of, frugal and maximizing the dollar, stretching it as far as you can go. And even now, I'm this type of person. Point being that eventually I worked at Subway, and that was your true minimum wage, like in the 7.25, and that was its own experience, and it wasn't a long stint there. But there's a stereotype in the kind of Indian American community where, oh, all these Indians, why do they own all the gas stations, the hotels, the motels, the Dunkin' Donuts, the Dairy Queens, the Subways, and et cetera, et cetera. So I would say that I'm not from that part of India. So the quick context is North Indians are more business focused, and then that stereotype of, oh, Indians in IT, they're from South India because that's where more of your technology and everything, literally the whole world, like technology sector, honestly, like we're pretty good, but at the same time, it was outsourced to India for cheaper labor at the time, but we're doing a good job, and the British took us over from a historical standpoint. So English is our you could say in the culture language where not everyone knows English, but you can also say like more chances than not, like English is a very fair second language you can try to communicate with, and people will understand this, especially in metropolitan cities and otherwise. So DoorDash came into my life where it basically was towards a minimum wage, number, let's say like 10, 11, $12, maybe on the weekends, 14, 15, per hour. So if you do like a 6 hour shift, it's like, oh, hey, I can, make $100 basically guaranteed. Or, if you get some tips, especially weekend, and you get lucky, then it's a little more. And you're like, oh, yeah, made whatever that blended rate, right? $150 divided by 6 hours. So I graduated college, got the degree, was earning more than 50K a year, and eventually step up, a couple of years plus of working and a little more. I was from the generation that wasn't like, hey, in COVID, if you just graduated and you got a job and everyone's getting six figures out of college. It wasn't like this. I got six figures more towards almost 5 years of working, you could say, in corporate America. And one would think like, okay, if I myself am telling you the story of, okay, $8 an hour, right? Like, and I'm able to stretch it and all these things. The biggest lesson I learned was when you're doing it for yourself, like everything's in your control, right? It's not that crazy. And when you learn more about, okay, how the system was set up, how the government, set up families as a construct, and okay, back in the day, one male earner, like literally male, like the husband would go work, the, mother would take care of the kids, cook, clean, and all those things. So from that, setup, when you're living alone, there's nothing there. But in this same regard, it's like, hey, that money is not really for you. It's for you to provide, systematically for, the kin that you're going to have, right? Or nowadays, folks don't have children or don't want to because of the same reason, because of cost. So that's a totally different discussion. So coming back here, I basically was, all right, I'm earning money. So like, and if there's surplus, then why even care about doing more than you need to? And simply put, I would say that I didn't get to where I, am today by a term called Henry, which is high earner, not rich yet, where there's a stereotype of, all right, folks who are raised in the suburbs, they can take risk or study a lot more and not be entrepreneurial. They go to college, get their degree, maybe they become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, and those type of stereotypes. And the point being that they have, let's say, no familial bills, or like, God willing, everything is good on their, side. But basically, they have no actual, you could say, financial responsibilities, duties, that type of word, if you know what I mean. And so you can go to the club, go enjoy it. There's nothing wrong, right? Like, it's your money, your time, your life. You do what you want. And apart from like, envy or jealousy and all those like societal, oh, they're always on vacation and, oh, woe is me. It sucks to be me. Like, no, this is not that video. Like, I am not that type of, if you're here, if you're like thinking like that, like, nah, like, just stop watching, because you're not, this is not the video for you. This video is to say that DoorDash/Uber Eats re-inform me that if you do the math, let's say there's 50 weeks in a year, roughly it's 52, but simple maths is 50 weeks times 40 hours, traditional work week means 2,000 hours in a year. So if you're getting 100K, then divided by 2,000 hours, your hourly rate is $50 an hour. And I'm also not the type to say, hey, if you can get $100 an hour and just grind for a few years, save and invest the difference, like, that's definitely a way. But there could be a better, more scalable way where it's not your time always involved to make money. And DoorDash is definitely a thing where you're literally grinding time for money. So the question would be like, then why, if I value my time, like, would I be doing DoorDash? And the simple truth of the answer is the value of the dollar. How easy or how hard it is to earn varies literally based on if you're poor or rich in a societal standpoint. AKA, when you're poor, you're taught to, all right, get some trade, get some skill, what have us. And there's somebody, we never talk about the somebody in school, because school is meant to raise workers, laborers, listen to somebody else, basically. And the best of the best in school become what? They're not necessarily taught to be owners of the business. They're just taught to be managers to manage the people below them. In other words, oh, the hall monitor and like all this like BS, man. Like, and so you can clearly see, like, I'm not a academic background person, even though I went to the best engineering school in the world, period, for my major, and industrial engineer, Georgia Tech. So it's like a flex, but I don't wear that badge to define me. I have my own definition. DoorDash and Uber Eats allowed me to relearn how dang hard it is to earn the dollar. Because when you're out there, when I know that I've made hundreds of dollars and if not thousands in mere seconds just by skills I have, and sure, you can lose that money too, right? Whether you call it trading in the stock market, trading in the cryptocurrency markets, what have us. It's not about that skill set, because that also has its risk. What is the risk of working an hourly job? Basically zero, other than health hazard, you get into a crash, like all those things are what it is, right? But the stretching of the dollar, how tough it is or can be. Because in the frame of when I'm doing it, I put myself in, if this is all I had, like, how can I optimize this vehicle? No pun intended. If this is the asset I have, in other words, the wealth of knowledge of how to deliver, how to get 5 stars, and how to do all these things, like, in today's world, we would think like it's not that complicated, man. Just go pick up the food, go deliver it. Why? Like, why am I talking about this? It's because it's not so simple. There's people that may have other just issues going on in the background, maybe just other stressors, and you can't do a simple job like this. And I'm not blaming them, because I've been on the other side where it's like, what if you're going through so much pain, sorrow, misery, whatever's made up in your head, right? Whatever reason you want to put to that. Now you can't get out of bed. You're depressed. You're like, oh, I don't even want to do this driving around and doing it because it's a grind. It's summer. My AC's broken. Like, there's a lot of stories like this. So the point is, I bought a car for 2,000 and change dollars. Like, it was $2,600. And I had a goal. And I remember it was like, all right, I'm going to pay this car off with my earnings. And the fulfillment, as many people say, it's like that first 100K, it's like the most, happy satisfaction, like all the feelings. And after that, it's like, all right, numbers matter, but it's more of a scorecard, or like, okay, how much cushion do you have? How much risk can you take? But your base level of like happiness skill set may not change much more. It just really depends on what you're doing day by day. All of this to say, DoorDash and Uber Eats, it's a part of my lifestyle, you could say, that I literally look forward to, doing it. And maybe nowadays, to be honest, I may be doing it like maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, and not too long, like cumulatively, like pushing 6 to 8 hours, hardly. But it is a reminder that when I'm doing DoorDash, like, I feel so, it's like nostalgia of like, oh yeah, we earned money. Like, this is how it is. And of course, you can allocate that money today. Maybe it's for more fun things. But back then, it definitely felt like, wow, this actually could be that thing that you're getting more than your paycheck, more than you budgeted for. So it's free money that can be invested. It can be grown. It can be compounded. It can be what have us. So it's almost like a challenge, if you came this far in this video, for me to say that irrespective of how much you're earning, always think about one rung below, where, okay, like, if you did that, how does that affect you? Because A lot of people that know about this, and now I'm making a video about it because I think it screams more confidence that you can do it too. Where people are like, "Oh man, you're such a high position in a company and all these things, and like the ego, the identity, the how embarrassing could it be if this?" And I'm like, dude, what is it? I'm making money. I'm spending my time the way I want to, and I'm using that money, believe it or not, to probably make even more money than I could make in my whole shift. To be very honest, like repeatedly. So what does that mean? It means it's garbage, man. It's nothing. It's black and white, P&L, profit and loss. Numbers are numbers. You want to make it, go get it. You don't want it, it's okay. You can do anything else. So, all in all, working these jobs just because you're making money doesn't matter. And the headlines of, oh, people need to do this because they're struggling and they can't have enough money for their bills. I'm not saying that's not true, but I'm saying those folks too can get a better skill set than DoorDash or Uber Eats or figure out like, how can I do this? But I will always say that now, today, if I lose everything from a systematic societal standpoint, as long as I have, let's say, the paid off car that, now I do now, I guess, right, through DoorDash and Uber Eats, I can fill that thing up with gas. Insurance is probably going to be hard. There's no like financing payment. Like, I'm not saying it's easy from the money coming in, but guess what? There is a way to then make more dollars than you have today. And so to me, it's a very valuable, priceless almost, this whole gig economy that exists that allows someone to feel more free versus feeling like you always have to rely on, the government or the, corporate structures to always, give you a handout, in other words, a paycheck for trading your time for money.